Sanbonani again, Bafundi. Welcome to Melusi's Everyday Zulu Lesson 3. If it were possible, I would kaula you. You remember what kaula is, right, from last lesson? It's to shake hands. So anyway, once again, I'm here with Utenju Mzwane, who will take you through the lesson, as she always does.
Sanbonani Bafundi, thank you very much for tuning in to lesson 3. So for this lesson, we're continuing with imisindo sounds, but what we're going to be learning to emphasize, and we're going to work with Melusi today throughout the lesson as we go through his book, Melusi's Everyday Zulu.
This book.
Buy it. It pays salaries. So buy the book, and we're going to go through the book, and we're going to then get into the meat of the difference between a sound without an H and a sound with an H. So last week, you'll remember, we went through a couple of sounds that have an H. It's the B, it's the C, it's the S, it's the T, it's the
K.
Q, and the K.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. Ngiyabonga Melusi. So that's what we're going to be doing for today's lesson. Yeah. And that is on page 7, rather. There's no week. Page 7 of your course outline. Going all the way to page 8. So we're going to start with umsindo. And remember, umsindo from last week means sound. And umsindo wokuqala is b, b, b.
So the word that I use in my book is biza. Biza. Biza is call. So if you're calling someone or you're calling an Uber, you biza that person or you biza that Uber. Biza though is also expensive. So if something is expensive, iyabiza. Iyabiza. So the story in the book is around how in South Africa, you have traditional weddings and white weddings. Traditional weddings, though, in our view, is that they shouldn't be called traditional weddings because to us, they're just weddings. In fact, we should be calling white weddings costume parties, because it's a costume party, really. It's a fairy tale. So, and also how I then bring in expensive biza is that, in fact, white weddings are expensive. Ziyabiza. So, biza is call, like you call white weddings costume parties, and expensive ayabiza.
Siyabonga Melusi. And our next word for the B sound is
buza. Buza. Buza is ask. Okay, so if you ask me a question, you buza me. Not boozer. Not boozer, like as in booze, no. Remember, that would have the H. Boozer. Okay. So in the book, the story and the expression rather is boozer ipas nespecial. Boozer ipas nespecial. Boozer ipas nespecial is an expression that comes from the apartheid era. In the apartheid era, black people were not allowed to move around South Africa freely. You had to have a passport and a special permit, right? So if the apartheid police found you in an area where they felt you shouldn't be, you needed to pull out your passport to identify yourself and show them your special permit that says you're allowed to be there, right? So the expression then evolved and became buza ipas special. If someone was asking you too many questions, you're saying to them, you are acting like an apartheid cop and you're asking me for my passport and my special permit. You're asking me for my passport and my special permit. This is meant to tell you, stop asking me too many questions. Because no one wants to be associated with being an apartheid cop, okay? Buza ipas nespecial. Buza, ask.
Did you live through apartheid?
Little bit.
Oh, sorry. And here you are now teaching everybody Zulu. All right, so Melusi has just highlighted the B sound. Biza, buza. We're now going to get into the B sound. Yeah? And can you tell us our first word, Melusi, for today?
So the word is bola. Bola. Bola is ball. So literally it comes from ball. Ball. Okay. The story in the book is around rugby. Okay. So rugby in isiZulu is ibola lombhoxo. Ibola lombhoxo, which is simply, sounds way more interesting than it is. It's simply oval ball. So it's about the shape of the ball. But also interestingly is that Umbhoxo is not an isiZulu word, even though Bola lombhoxo has become an isiZulu expression. Umbhoxo is isiXhosa, right? And so the joke that I make is that as Zulu people, we dislike rugby so much, we did not even bother to use our own language, which is not necessarily true. Okay, fine. She says it's true. I think we're stereotyping. Everybody plays whatever they want, right?
I asked for a captain. One Zulu captain. One. None.
Anyway, ibola lombhoxo. So the sound is b, b, b. Ibola lombhoxo.
Siyabonga Melusi. And our next word is?
Ubhuti. Ubhuti. Ubhuti is an interesting word because it carries a lot of weight. It's a male word, so it's usually an older brother, but you can use it for any older man in a position of authority, right? So let's say, for instance, you've been speeding, which you shouldn't do, and the cops stop you and you're trying to talk your way out of a ticket. So even if the cop is younger than you, to butter him up, you would say, Bhuti, I am so sorry, and he would feel, okay, you respect me. So Ubhuti. Or if you've messed up at work and the HR person is a male, all of a sudden, usually you call him Tim, but that day, because you might get fired, you call him Tim, Ubhuti.
Siyabonga. And growing up, I used to want to be called Butmadli, so that's just done. Still, nobody calls me Butmadli. But thank you very much. So Melusi has highlighted the sound, B, ibola, ubhuti, and B. Ibiza, buza. All right, so we're going to get on to our next sound, which is the sound. Do you remember we went through that last week? Yeah? And so what is our first word for?
So the word for is umculo. Umculo. Umculo is music. Everybody loves music, right? I mean, if you don't love music, you're an alien. In fact, probably even aliens have their own music that they love. And the story in the book, for me, talks about how some songs are brilliant until the singer comes on. So the song starts and it's got a nice jam, it's got a nice beat, and then the singer comes on and you go, man, you've just ruined a perfect song. And there are many songs like that. And a singer is umculi. Umculi. So umculo is music, a singer is umculi, and a song is iculo. So some songs are better off without umculi.
And what's culo the song then? What does that mean?
Culo the song, I think it's just someone trying to make it sound exotic, but it's song the song. Yeah.
And what's our next word, Melusi?
Isicabucabu. Isicabucabu. Isicabucabu is a spider. And the story in the book is around Spider-Man. Yes. If you don't live in South Africa, you might think we've never had Spider-Man. But growing up, I was a preteen in the 80s, and we loved Spider-Man. But our Spider-Man was simulcast into Setswana, So we didn't even know that he was called Spider-Man. We just knew him as Rabubi, Rabubi. And so Isicabucabu is a spider, but the joke that I make is that the reason we never had an isiZulu Spider-Man is that Isicabucabu man just wouldn't work. No. It would just sound horrible. And mostly because it would ruin the theme song, See, in Setswana, they were able to say Rabubi, Rabubi. Now imagine going Isicabucabu man, that just wouldn't work. So Isicabucabu is a spider, and if we had to be literal, Spider-Man would be Isicabucabu man.
Siyabonga Melusi. And our next word for the sound is?
Impica. Impica is something that is confusing, that really just you cannot wrap your head around. So the full expression is impica badana. It means it's something that is so confusing that even the elders cannot work it out, right? And so the story is around the fact that the elders, though, in African politics are the ones now confusing us. We as the young people are now the ones who have to work out what the elders are getting up to. Whereas the elders were known as the wise ones, but the elders are disappointing us.
Which
The elders,
Melus?
the political elders, the politicians, those elders,
What
you know.
are they doing to you?
You know what they're doing. You know
They are
what?
themselves in Pikabad.
They themselves are in Pikabadala, and now we have to work out what the elders are talking about. Whereas before, we trusted the elders. You know, we didn't have to work out. Now they've become in Pikabadala themselves.
Siyabonga Melus. Melus was trying to not say which elders. This is the one time I've seen him try to be politically correct. Siyabonga Melus. So now we're going to get into the sound. Can you please tell us Gama Elinu?
So it's Kaza, right? But you can also say it slightly differently. Kaza. So Kaza is explain. So if you explain, you Kaza. But Kaza is something that impresses you, right? If something impresses you, it Kazas you. Okay? Kaza, right? And in the book, I speak about the one time I went to gym, right? And not that I've only been to gym once. But I used to see this gym in my neighborhood, and it had these hefty ladies, you know, quite well fed. And I thought, if these ladies can do it, I can do it. I went into this class, some aerobics looking thing, and I almost died. Okay, I almost died. And these ladies were just going, and I was blown away. And I sat there thinking, someone must answer this to me. How are these ladies fitter than me? You know, so that's the story in the book, that I wanted someone to kaza to me how these ladies were fitter than me. But it also kazaed them that I was dying. So it pleased them that this arrogant man was dying. So I was humbled that day. Kaza.
My new life goal is to be a gym woman so that I can watch men almost die. I don't know that's what happens in the gym. All right. And what is now next word is?
Chitwe. The root word is chita, right? So chita is to spill. So the story there is around an expression that goes, awachithwe lamanzi ayikho lenkuku. Awachithwe lamanzi ayikho lenkuku. What does that mean? Let's throw out this water, this chicken is never going to materialize. Let's throw out this water, this chicken is never going to materialize. Sounds weird and confusing. It's actually very interesting. Not all South Africans now, you know, animals' rights and whatever, but there's a lot of slaughtering of chickens, you know, on the weekend or for traditional ceremonies, chickens will be slaughtered. So, and once you've slaughtered a chicken, you have to put it in boiling water and then pluck the feathers. So this expression says the chicken will not arrive. Let's pour out the water. So let's say an uncle has been sent to go buy the chicken, and the uncle went to the shebeen with the money, went to the pub with the money, and did not return with the chicken. So the other family members are sitting there waiting until someone says, this chicken will not materialize, let's spill out the water. What that simply means is, this thing is pointless. We are wasting our time, let's move on. This chicken will not materialize, let's spill out the water. We're wasting our time, let's move on. Chitwe, chita.
Thank you. It's probably the only time Zulu people are vegetarian, when the uncle disappeared that night. Siyabonga. So the sound that Umedus has just gone through, we've gone through the sound. Umculo, sicabcabu, impica, chaza, chitwe. Yeah? So we're going to get to our next sound, which is the k sound.
So kwazi. Kwazi is to know. Kwazi is to know. So I wrote the book in 2017, 2018, and there were many strange happenings in South Africa at the time. Be it in government or big business, they all seemed to be up to nonsense. And what I was saying is, we want to know. Sifuna ukwazi. Stop hiding things from us. You know, we were being spun from corner to corner. So the whole thing was, stop lying to us. Sifuna ukwazi. we want to know. Sifuna ukwazi. So kwazi is know.
Thank you. As Melissa was saying that, I remember there's an NGO of when eventually white people got really tired, and it's called Sfunugwas. It still exists. It's in Cape Town, and it's called that actually. Okay, and our next word is
Nkomo. Nkomo. Nkomo is cow. Okay, cow. So the cow, moo, bovine. Yeah, Nkomo is cow. And the story in the book is that in isiZulu, Nkomo colloquially also means someone who's useless, all right? And it started from football, soccer. So if you're terrible at soccer, you're called inkomo, because you are as useful as a cow on the field. So you can't kick a ball, you can't do anything, but it's extended beyond that. If you're useless at anything, you are inkomo at it. So if you're like me, you're inkomo at fashion, never don't know how to dress. If you are a politician, you're inkomo at telling the truth. So nkomo.
Siyabonga. And then our next sound is the k sound. K sound.
K. So the word there is isikoko. Isikoko. Isikoko is the layer of hardened sediment. If you've been cooking, let's say pap, I don't know where you're watching this from, but if you're in South Africa, you know what pap is. If you've been cooking pap and it's burnt to the bottom of a pot, but it also happens with custard and various sauces as well. So that sediment is called isikoko. But then the word evolved and became positive, to say someone who is amazing, someone whose amazingness is unmovable, like isikoko. So if you are amazing at soccer, you are isikoko at soccer, because no one you cannot be messed with. Yeah, isikoko.
Siyabonga. I'm also here just surprised at the number of things that can become isikoko. I didn't know Melusi cooked, but now I know that he knows that sauces have isikoko. All right, and what's our next word, Melusi?
Ukhamisile. Ukhamisile. Ukhamisile is you have your mouth open. So this is ukhamisa. So khamisa, the root word is khamisa. So if I walk in here and I find Utenji is sitting like this, I will say ukhamisile. But it actually means you have been useless. So things are happening and you're sitting in here and you're doing nothing. Ukhamisile. And the story in the book was around how our president at the time, who I think is still our president, and I don't know when you'll be seeing this, there were so many stories coming out about how members of his cabinet were corrupt and not doing what they're supposed to be doing. And I was saying, ukhamisile, you're just sitting there with your mouth wide open and doing nothing. Ukhamisile.
So interestingly, in Zuluness, in particular, this comes from when Joburg boys, Model C boys, coming home to Makaya and not knowing, so indoda may khamisa sibayeni. So that's when it was like khamisile, and then you'd get severely hit just for opening your mouth, because these boys would get there and not know how to kill a cow and go, and then khamisa sibayeni, and it's a big offense. So even now, umuntu methi khamisa sibayeni, they're severely offending you. Right? Ngiyabonga Melusi. So our next sound is the p sound.
So the word here is actually not traditionally an isiZulu word, but we've taken it, we've appropriated it, and it is the only word for this thing. The word is Popeye. Popeye, Popeye the sailor man? That's where it comes from. It's Popeye. So to us, and also all other black South African nations, because we are different nations, not necessarily tribes, Popeye is cartoon or comic or anything that's illustrated or animated. It's Popeye, all right? Or again, in an earlier lesson, Tenjure spoke about regional differences. So in some people it's Popeye, to others it's Popeye, right? So, but it also means just a foolish person. So if you're foolish, you are Popeye. And the story in the book is when we had been downgraded by one of the ratings agencies as a country. And I was saying we've become a Popeye country led by Popeyes. And some people were not very happy with me. but it's fine.
Are we still a Popeye country? Are we back
No,
to-
listen, I don't know.
So, because you decided when do you elevate us?
Look, we're not Popeyes, okay?
All right, and our next word is
Popola. Popola. Popola is to peek at or inspect.
okay.
Popola. Okay, so if you go to the doctor will popola you. They'll probe you, they'll put things in your ears, in your mouth, and that's when you are being popolaed.
Siyabonga Melusi. So now our next sound is the p sound, ph sound, p sound, p. Right. And what are our ph sounds?
PH in this instance is papa. Papa. Papa is a word that we love very much. We love it very much. And in fact, it's one of those that transcend beyond just isiZulu, and it's used across the board in South Africa, Black lexicon, right? To papa is very difficult to explain in English. There is no English equivalent. You could say presumptuous, but it doesn't do it. You can say a person is being forward, but it doesn't do it. So it's essentially, it's to careen. You know, when you're careening, when a car is being driven and the steering wheel is no longer working and the brakes are not working and it's just careening and it's on its own. So that's like when your brain is doing that and it's disconnected sometimes from your mouth, or you try to say something with your mouth and it comes out your bum. That's ukupapa. You know, so when someone says we are papa, they mean you're being out of order, you're being out of hand. So in the book, I list the different people in South Africa who we could say baya papa, they papa. Such as people who are listed in the book.
I love that because he goes to specific people in the book, but he's being politically correct here. But okay.
Yes. So pa.
All right, siyabonga. And the next one?
Pambana. Pambana. So Pambana is interesting. So Pambana, for instance, if we walk past each other on the street, we Pambana, siya Pambana. So if things cross, siya Pambana, right? In the book, I speak about a related word, which is not necessarily an isiZulu word, which is an isiXhosa word. But what we do is, because we're a multicultural society, we use each other's words comfortably if it sounds nice or if it's related to one of ours. So in isiXhosa, Pambana is to go mad because the wires in your head are now crossing, right? So, and the stories around how my late cousin, rest in peace, he used to say Christians baya Pambana. He used to say Christians are crazy. And his logic was that the cross, okay, the stuff that Christians hold, that's a cross, is a sign that they're insane, their wires are crossed. That's why they carry a cross, because bapambene.
Thank you, Melusi. Okay, and our next word is?
Ikanda. Ikanda. Ikanda is an egg. Ikanda is an egg. So there was a time when our former president, Mr. Jacob Gedleyihlekisa Zuma, was in the papers for all the wrong reasons. You know, every day there was just something. Whether it was true or not, that's not the point, but there was just stuff. So the one time I was driving and I saw a headline that said, Zuma Kanda. And I thought, what has the president done to whose egg now? You know. But then the bit of my brain that understands English turned on and realized, oh, it's Zuma Q&A. It's Zuma question and answer. Right. So the story is about that. The fact that I thought that they were saying the president had done something to someone's egg, whereas they were just saying they had a Q&A with the president.
Is that because he could do so much that he could have done something with an egg?
I don't know. Like the stories.
Your respect for that person that you thought he had boiled an egg and it was a headline.
I don't know, you know. But also this speaks to when you're multilingual. Sometimes your brain takes a while to process which language you're reading at a particular time. You know, so you'd be reading a book and then if the book is in English, and then they throw in a isiZulu word, and you'll read that isiZulu word in English and go, no, this makes no sense.
I used to call Die Hard, the movie Die Hard. until I was in grade 5.
Exactly.
Somebody was like, it's die hard. Alright, siyabonga. And our next word, the sound.
Iqiniso. Iqiniso. Iqiniso is the truth. Iqiniso is the truth. So in 2018, we had a very weird situation where we were almost killed by polony. Okay, polony and bacon and Vienna's processed food. Okay, so there's a disease called listeriosis. So I made a joke saying all of our problems are polony based. Polony is the reason why we as a country are going down the drain. We're not necessarily going down the drain. I was making a joke, and I was saying iqiniso is that we can blame everything on polony. And even now I do believe that we can blame all our problems on polony, and that is iqiniso.
I agree. Actually, yeah. And then our next sound is the sound, the sound. Yeah? And our word?
Qhubeka. Qhubeka. Qhubeka is continue. Continue. Literally continue. So if I'm speaking right now and I stop, Tenji will say to me, Qhubeka. Qhubeka. But it can also be said in a kind of like a nasty way. If you're doing something that's wrong, and I'm just like, Qhubeka. As in, you know what you're going to get. Qhubeka. Qhubeka.
It's how I threaten my child all the time. I just use that one word. Qhubeka. Qhubeka, bon, Qhubeka. And then they can't.
Yeah,
all right, siyabonga. So we're now at our S sound. S sound.
Isimo. Isimo. Isimo is a situation or a state. Isimo is a situation or a state. So when we were transitioning between presidents, there was no election. One president was just ousted, and another came in. It wasn't a coup. They're all part of the same party. It was all pretty democratic, but it wasn't a general election. But soon after that, we needed to have a State of the Nation address. Okay, so I then wrote a story around that whole happening. So, and I called the State of the Nation address Isimo of the Nation address. And also because Isimo is situation and state, then I made a joke around the fact that Isimo of the Nation is in a bad Isimo. So Isimo of State of the Nation is in a bad situation. Yeah.
You're smart.
I try to be.
He is. I mean, I don't think, yeah, anyway. And then our next word is?
Isisu. Isisu. Isisu is a stomach. Isisu is a stomach. And seems like a lot of my stories are political because this story was around how a lot of decisions that are made seemed to be based on politics of isisu, politics of the stomach. People want to get full. So all decisions are based on who's going to feed me, who's going to pay me, which side is my bread buttered, isisu. But then I also took it back to say even colonialism was because of isisu. People were making terrible decisions based on greed. Even apartheid was politics of the stomach, politics of isisu.
And so we're going to move on to our next word, the next word.
Isifo. Isifo. Isifo is disease, a disease, but also if you've got a death in the family, you have isifo, right? So the joke in the book is that Zulu people are so pessimistic that we say the moment you're diseased, you're going to die. That's why the word for disease and a death is the same. Yeah. So if you have isifo, uzofa. So if you have isifo, there's going to be isifo at your family. Yeah.
Shame. The one actually is that, so when you have isifo alone, you're going to die alone. But then after you've died, we all die. So then the family has to attend to isifo. And a big part of that from colonialism, because it would take your money. Yes. So isifo also, so the same way disease takes money, yes. When you die, it takes money from everybody has to come back. And then it's isifo the same way. Yes. So both things take away money, and that's why it was like that. Isifo. Siyabonga Melusi. And so our next sound is the sh sound.
Sh. So the word there is ishubaba. Ishubaba. Ishubaba is simply a skin blemish. Okay, it's a skin blemish of any kind, you know. And the story that I tell, so we've got a history of, it's not so bad now in South Africa, it's not as prevalent as it is in some other African countries, but we had a problem of skin lightening creams, okay? And skin lightening creams would burn you. And so my thing was that when it burns you, you go, shoo, iya baba. Baba is, it burns, so you go, shoo, iya baba, and it became ishu baba, right? And then I speak about how various people are ishu baba on our country. You know, they're blemish on the skin of our country. And then I also speak about how some people have blemishes on their souls and others have amashu baba on their brains because of the decisions they make, such as racists, for instance, have amashubaba. Amashubaba is the plural. Racists have amashubaba in their brains, in their hearts, and in their souls.
So you are coming from politicians, racists, everyone in this.
Everyone that's ruining our country
you came
is
for that.
ishubaba. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Siyabonga Melus. And then our next word is?
Isishwapa. 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 Isishwapa is a flat butt or no butt at all. Okay, flat butt or no butt at all. This is a big deal. Okay, because South Africans have butts. Okay, that's our thing. We're the people with the butts. Okay, if the ratings agencies had to judge us on our butts, we would be rated A. Okay, so we've got junk in the trunk, as they say. So, and the story in the book is around the one time I found my mother and one of her sisters having a conversation. So I'm from a long line of domestic workers. And so my mother and her sister were talking about how mean the one employer was. And my mother then said, yeah, but she has a shwapa, you know, but you know, she has a flat butt. And then the story then became around, why do white people have flat butts? And my mother said it's because they sit around and do nothing every day. They sit in their offices, they sit in their cars, they sit in front of their TVs. And when I said to her, but your sister sits around and does nothing, why does she still have a big butt? I got smacked. So yeah.
Rightfully so.
Yeah. It's the shwapa.
Thank you. All right. So the next word is not in the book, but you have it on the Facebook page and you've done an audio for it.
Ushwele. Ushwele is mercy. Ushwele is mercy. So when someone shows you mercy, that's ushwele. When you ask for mercy, you humble yourself and you say shwele if you've done something wrong. So the story that I'd written, not in the book, was we need ushwele, and I think it was hot. We needed ushwele from the sun, you know. And so I said again, all the people that were causing problems, all the people that were stealing money, all the people that were abusing children and doing terrible things, I was saying to them, please ask for ushwele so that God can stop burning us, because God was burning us. Even though South Africa can be a very hot place, at the time it was blazing hot, and I was saying we're being burnt for our sins and people need to stop it.
So, like Donald Trump, you just didn't believe in global warming? That you just decided it was people's doings and not global warming?
Yes. It's people need to ask for forgiveness.
Are you proud to think like Trump?
No, it's a joke. It's a joke.
No, I'm joking. Okay, so our next sound is the t sound.
Yeah, and the word there is ukutefa. Ukutefa. Ukutefa is being a crybaby. Ukutefa is being a crybaby. And the story was around. So I mean, I'm now in my early 40s, and so in South Africa, at every intersection you have young men. It's mostly men selling goods, and the one guy called me uncle, you know, and I thought, but there's no way I could be your uncle. You've got a beard, you know. And I went and I told this to my then wife, who then said to me, stop ukutefa, you know, stop being a crybaby. You are an uncle. So yeah, maybe that's why she's my past wife. I don't know.
Because she called you what you are? Uktefa, and that's what he just did now. Uktefa. All right. So the next sound we're going to be doing is the t sound.
So the word there is tuma. Tuma. Tuma is to send. So if I send you, I tuma you to do something for me. If you send me, you tuma me, right? And then there's an expression tuma mina, which is send me. So tuma mina. Mina is me. And so the story there was around when the president came in, he did his first State of the Nation address, and he hinged everything around this expression, which he got from a song by the legendary and late Hugh Masekela, which was Tuma Mina. So the song is Send Me, and it's got Christian origins. Tuma Mina Nkosi, where there's a song that says, Send me, Lord, to do your work. So he was saying, as South Africans, we need to send him to do the work of improving the country. But even we as South Africans, we need to be sendable to play our part.
Siyathume?
Where?
What goes wrong? All right. And our next word is?
Itanga. Itanga. Itanga is a pumpkin, that orange vegetable. I don't know if it's a vegetable, but it's a vegetable. Itanga, but it's also a thigh, thigh, the upper part of a leg, itanga. Okay, so the story there is about how I love itanga, but I wasn't making it very clear which itanga I like. Do I like pumpkin or do I like thigh? Again, maybe that's why I don't know.
He's not sad.
Itanga is pumpkin and thigh.
Okay. I survived being a baby lesbian in school just using this. You'd go, yo, itanga likaban, and then the teacher would try and get you in trouble. And you'd be like, no, but ma'am, I meant a pumpkin. And our next word?
Tenga. Tenga is to buy, right? So if you buy something, you tenga it. And the story there was about how my then wife used to send me to the shops. And at some point she stopped because I'd just bring the wrong thing. For instance, she would send me to buy itanga, pumpkin, and I'd come back with chicken thighs, because I'm an idiot, So eventually she just said, I do not need you to tenga anything for me anymore. Tenga is to buy.
All right. So we have come to the sound. And our word?
The word there is taka. Taka. Taka is to confuse or to put in a bind. To confuse or to put in a bind. And the story in the book is around how we were at some awards ceremony and I really wanted to go to a party, and I bumped into a friend of mine and he said there was a party in a hotel room. We went to this hotel room and there was just one young woman. And my friend said something about buying booze and it disappeared. And what transpired in that room triggered me. Left me very confused and in a bind. So I was triggered me.
What happened in the room?
No, I was triggered.
You want to trigger the rest of us?
I don't want to trigger the rest of you with my problems.
All right. Thank you. The next one is not in the book, but you also done something on your Facebook.
On my Facebook, yes. So this word is kuba. Kuba. So I'd started running, because I'm trying to exercise. I'm trying to get rid of these man boobs and other things that I don't want. And so the word kuba, and I realized that if you're gonna run, you need to brush your teeth before you leave the house. Because the last thing you need is if you're out there running and you collapse and someone wants to give you mouth to mouth and you've got morning breath, you've got problems. So you need to brush your teeth. You must kuba your teeth before you leave the house. And yes, I know that mouth to mouth is not what's recommended. Apparently you have to pump a chest or something like that. But for the purposes of the joke, it was around that you need to brush your teeth, kuba your teeth before you go for a run.
Siyabonga, I don't even know that.
Yes.
But also it's probably because I don't exercise. And then our next sound is the sound.
Kaula. And the story in the book there is about guys with long nails, because you shake someone's hand and it's as if you're shaking Freddy Krueger, and you feel like they're gonna scratch you and you're gonna bleed to death. And the other joke that I make is that I thought Freddy Krueger was an Afrikaner because back in the 80s when we grew up, all the villains were Africans. And Kruger is an African surname. Yeah.
Sorry. All right. Siyabonga, Medusa. So we've come to, thank you very much for that. I actually enjoyed that lesson. So we're wrapping up our lesson on, and I hope you can hear the difference, and especially with the book, of what the H sound does to the lesson. Thank you very much to Lucy for going through that with us. And just a reminder that you can always pause that and say it over and over again for yourself so that you learn imisindo, the sounds. For this week, also what I have done is I've added activity sheets so that you can also learn to practice the sound. We also have a YouTube video from Umambusi Mhlongo, and the song is Bakabana Okam. And I'm hoping that is going to teach you how to practice the sound, and it's also something fun for you as Mfundi at home. All right, so what I'm going to quickly do with this activity sheet is I'm going to just go through these sentences, and I'd like you to practice saying them through the week as well. The first one, which is the sound, Ula iculo. And we're going to say it again, Ula iculo. Right? And then the next sound is the sound. And the sentence you must practice this for this lesson is Iqiniso lithi laqephuka iqanda. Iqiniso lithi laqephuka iqanda. And there, that sentence, the reason it's there is I'd like you to practice a few things and to pick it up when you do. So it's the weqiniso, the T waliti, the P, so the P kaqephuka, and then the P kaphuka, and then iqanda. So I'd like you to recognize that as you say it. I'll say it one more time. Iqiniso lithi laqephuka iqanda. Right? And then the next sound is the sh sound. Washeba satane leswapha asishoni. Let me say that again. Washeba satane leswapha asishoni. Right? And then our fourth sound is the t sound, the t, t, t. And this is something that we used to sing, especially as children in KZN. I don't know why, probably out of boredom. But igama ngunathi wasemnambi thi angibafuni abathakathi ngoba banemithi. Igama unathi wasemnambi thi angibafuni abathakathi ngoba banemithi.
Was it not perhaps because you had eaten halls to freshen your breath and you were showing off to other kids, because that we used to do similar things like this. So you breathe out as you're saying it so that other kids know you've eaten a sweet and they're not going to get it.
If you lived under apartheid. No.
Yeah, like if you've eaten a sweet, you will say things like this so that your breath shoots out.
It actually, no. So different. No, I went to a Model C school, and so every time we did like Zulu things, so this was like one of our Zulu things that we do.
Okay.
And I don't know. So maybe that's where it come from, but it was just to confuse white people at the time. All right, and then number 5 is what you're gonna get from the song, which is Bakabana Okam. Yeah? And so you're going to listen to that song and you're going to hear Mambusi Mhlongo as she wraps up the lesson for us. Thank you very much for being a part of this lesson. I hope you've had a lot of fun. Just remember, this week we were focusing on what the H sound does to change words in isiZulu. I'm going to hand over to Melusi to wrap up.
Once again, thank you for learning with us. It's always a pleasure. I hope you enjoy it as much as we do. But most importantly, I hope you're learning. As Utenjiwe has said, it's about practice, practice, practice. Follow those links, that extra material that she spoke about, but also don't forget to listen and play the pronunciations that are at the bottom. So there are audio clips that of all these words and expressions that we've used today. Listen to them. Again, record yourselves, post on the portal so that we can give you feedback and so that you can practice. Thank you. Salami.